Welcome back to another roundtable. My name is Adam, and with me once again I have Rusmin and Victor.
Hi guys.
All right, and today we're going to talk about inflation. All right.
Oh, painful thing.
So I think this has been on everyone's mind recently. I think the news, not just in Singapore, but around the world, has been about rising inflation, especially since the Ukraine crisis and all that. And I remember going to like the coffee shop, right? And I was ordering a teh O peng, for international views like iced tea, and the lady was telling me, here it's $1.50, $1.50, and I was like shocked about it, because I remember for the longest time it was like what, $1.10, $1.20, and now it's just $1.50 all of a sudden, just like this past few months, and that just kind of like really shocked me. I mean, it's just $1.50, but it's like, oh yeah, the price just went up.
I also experienced the same thing also. I mean, I'm doing my house renovation right now. I went to do a featured wall in my house, right? So in January I actually get a quote. So the quote was about 400 plus for the featured wall, just one wall only. Okay. And I was like, okay, good. But then the validity of the quote is for 1 month, right? So my reno delay. So 3 months later, I go and get this quote again, and it's 600 plus.
Okay.
So that's 50% up, and that's really like, wow. Okay, this is really inflation.
And did they give you a reason, or they just told you, sorry, inflation?
Yeah, inflation. Everything is inflation now. Every time they increase the price, they'll tell you it's inflation. Raw material cost is high right now. Commodities are high.
Okay.
Right? So I can feel the pain.
I have the same experience also. I mean, my house, we have like electricity bill, right? So I renew it every year, and then when I renew it, it's like the cost has gone up by 50%.
Oh, you're just using more electricity?
No. For the same amount of usage, the price has gone up by 50%.
Oh wow, okay. Yeah, I think especially for food, I mean, for me the experience was very real, because I think for food in Singapore, for the longest time it's been like, it's so cheap. It's very cheap. I mean, if you ever come to Singapore, I mean, I remember 20 years ago as a kid, a plate of chicken rice would be $3. Today you still can find chicken rice at $3.
Yes.
In 20 years. And that's something that's so special about Singapore.
Lesser meat though.
less meat, maybe not so much rice and all that stuff. But you still can find it. So for food prices in Singapore, I mean, to just jump like that, I think inflation is very real as well. All right, so I think that's what inflation is all about. So we all know that inflation hurts spenders and savers. Purchasing value of your dollar goes down. But what we want to cover today is that, inflation, yes, we feel the pinch. But as an asset owner, inflation actually helps you, as an investor, because inflation basically means prices going up. And if you own assets, means your asset prices go up. So we want to cover that today. So is there a relation? I mean, is there something, chart that you can show?
I think the first thing that I can give is probably how to justify why inflation will lead to asset prices would be property, right? So I think in the 1970s, if you guys still remember, probably your parents or your grandparents, when they bought the first HDB, it probably cost them like less than 6 figure.
My dad bought an HDB for $10,000.
Oh yes, that was the first few
very long ago.
The current house that I'm staying, the HDB costs about $36,000.
Oh, you mean
in the past,
right? Not right now.
In the past. As in, we bought it $36,000.
But today, I think we hear in the news that some HDB are already hitting $1 million.
Recently, it was the one at Pinnacle, 1.38 million for an HDB.
So that kind of shows you that inflation typically leads to asset inflation as well, right? So because your dollars today is going to be worth less tomorrow, and you're going to have to spend more money to buy the asset. Okay, so that explains why inflation. I mean, you need to invest, right? That's why asset, you need to put into the asset. The asset owner usually will benefit, whether it's a property or equity. And if you look at the equity, I think there has been this data that I think we have it here. I think that this data is studied mostly in the US, and also compared with some of the investment in commodities like gold. You can see that they actually break down into 6 areas: low growth, high inflation; low growth, low inflation; then medium growth, low inflation, and so on and so forth, right? So in the period where I think the assets will not perform well, typically in times where the growth of the GDP is the slowest, right? And inflation is the highest. And this is what we call it as stagflation. So you can see that stagflation in the time when it happens in the 1960s, 70s, 80s, right? Those were the period where pretty tough for the whole economy. So if you are a real asset owner, I think you will not performed pretty well, right? Because stagflation is a real problem that the whole world was actually facing at that time, right? So you look at the average monthly return for all these asset classes, mostly underperform, right? Except if you hold U.S. Treasuries, right? So and a few of those assets that actually have done well, but most of it have performed badly. So you can't escape. Stagflation, because you hit everybody, right? Yeah. So, but in the time when inflation, when there's a growth, when there's a whether low or high inflation, you can see that most stocks or most assets actually have performed. If you see across the board, right? So you see a lot of blue, light red, light blue, right? So most of it actually have done pretty well. Yeah.
All right, so I think stagflation is a situation we all want to avoid, and I think economists do the best to basically avoid that scenario. But inflation doesn't always hurt you, like what you're saying, because if there's still some growth in the economy, inflation, there's inflation in the economy as well. But businesses actually can benefit from that.
It hurts you when you only hold cash.
When you hold cash, you're the one spending. But if you're the one, like a successful business that's earning profit and income, it can actually help you as well.
Yes, correct.
They may get impacted in the short term, especially for those manufacturing companies where they have to raise the prices after that, right? But then the cost will eat into the margin, so that is typically will cause a drag there. But in most cases, if it's an industry problem, usually everybody will just raise prices to pass on the cost. Consumer in the end have to pay for it. That's why we are experiencing higher costs as we consume.
I think the question is, how do you want to buffer for all this inflation, right? I think there's basically two ways you can do it. One way is like what Rusmeh had explained, you must buy into businesses that are able to pass down costs, right? Yeah. But you also can buy into business that they may not be able to pass down costs, but they are growing faster than the inflation, right? Yes. So let's lead us back to seeing what's the inflation rate right now. So if you look at the Singapore all item inflation is about 4.3%. So if you want to buy, the company must be growth more than 4.3% so that you can cover the inflation, right? But Singapore is not so bad because we are still not as high as the previous time. Am I right?
2007, 2008 was as high as I think 6-7% there about. Yeah.
But the inflation in the US is a bit more serious in this case because the inflation percentage right now is about 7.87%.
Oh, that's pretty high,
Yes. So in the 1990, right, the highest was 6% plus, right? In 2008 it was 5% plus. So basically now it's like a record peak from the previous two peaks.
So if we go back to 1970s, which is where the stagflation happens, the inflation actually has gone up to as high as 15%.
15.
Yes. Wow. So those are the period where the inflation was at a double digit and the interest rate were very, very high at that point in time, right? So we want to avoid that kind of situation because it is not going to be good for the whole world, right? So
yes, correct.
That's why I think the Fed is trying to do, raising the rate, to dampen the demand so that the prices of the product commodities and all that will rise slower.
Right? So if you invest in the US, you make sure you must more than 7%, your growth. Right?
Yeah. So there's a third way to beat inflation, right?
Which is
maybe rich.
It still affects you though. You just have a much,
your income has multiplied, right? Very rich.
Okay, from your perspective.
Income growth. Okay. More than 7%.
That strategy cannot apply for
if you're still single. It doesn't apply to everybody, right? But of course, at the end of the day, for most people, it has to be you have to be an asset owner. Otherwise, if you are holding cash, you're gonna get punished over the long run, right? So one way is of course to invest in quality business. They have a very strong pricing power, and the other way is of course I like to look at businesses that have their business model that are asset light in nature, right? So typically these are your tech companies where they don't really need to reinvest a lot of money in those fixed asset, right? Which typically with the asset inflation, this thing will become more costly to replace. Like if you are airline business, right, the next 5 years, 10 years down the road, your airline, the same airline may cost a lot more, right, versus 5 or 10 years ago, right? So it will cost you more money to replace some of these assets, which are depreciating in nature, right? But on the other hand, if you own property, obviously you have appreciating asset, right? So real estate investment trusts, REITs, all those assets are bought many years ago, right? So and they will appreciate in value as inflation continues to go up.
And so I want to jump in right now because I think at this point of this discussion, I think we've covered how inflation can actually help you as an investor. Don't be, bad and all that, but it can help you as an investor. And we want to talk about in some asset classes do pretty well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we want to zoom in on stocks because that's what we do.
Yeah.
All right, and we want to find out what kind of stocks that we could potentially look at in a period of higher inflation. Right.
Yeah.
And you mentioned REITs, so I'm going to jump in on REITs right now. So I know asset prices go up because property prices go up, but REITs as an investment, I think investors kind of tend to look at the income, the dividend that they can get from that. So what do you think? Do you think REITs can? I mean, the asset prices will go up, but does that mean the rent that they charge can go up as well?
I think again, it depends on which subsector we are looking at. So typically, we look at REITs that have, let's say, healthcare in nature, right? So they have 15 years leases, and typically they have the CPI. Consumer Price Index built in, right? So if the inflation, let's say, goes up by 5%, they can increase the rent by 5%.
Oh, that's even Parkway Life. Parkway Life, I remember that.
Yeah. Even though they have a long-term leases, they still able to pass down the cost, right? So that is part of the rent that they have. Those REITs that like retail, typically their leases are a lot shorter, 2 to 3 years, right? For most tenants, and with things are getting more expensive, your rent will go up as well, right? And that's where they can actually pass on the rental, right? And with the time that we are right now, I think the economies are doing well. We are almost back to the pre-COVID level unemployment rate, right? So even in the US, I think it's doing very well. So as inflation goes up, interest rate will go up, and everyone is doing well, right? So when everyone is doing well, they are spending a lot more, and businesses will do a lot better. So that's why I think REITs will be able to pass down some of this rising costs to the consumer, even though the debt has gone up.
Okay, but that would depend on the quality of the REIT.
Yes,
right? Not all of them could do so well.
Not all sectors of the REITs. There's a lot of sectors inside within the REITs itself.
Because like in terms of retail, you're saying you can pass down rent increases to your tenants. It assumes that the tenants still want to be there.
Correct.
And that means you have to have a very successful location for that mall and all that.
Yes. And even like, let's say you're looking at office, it also depends on the supply and demand.
Okay.
In those sectors, right? If there's oversupply issue, obviously you can't pass down your rent, right?
Yeah.
So I think it has to be put into the context. When what we are sharing here is just in general.
Yeah.
But in the whole sector should be able to benefit as a whole, right? And of course, these are the things that you just need to take note of. Okay, and of course there have been studies done on the inflation in the period where there's a hyperinflation. Some sectors will do well. Beside the REITs, right? Some will not do so well. Okay, so if you look at some of the inflation losers, right? I think the sectors that will not do well are typically your consumer goods, autos, restaurant, retail, recreation. Okay, I think this is based on the stats done. If the inflation goes up by more than 10%, most of them will not do well, right? But if it's between single digit to less than 10%, a few of them will do quite okay.
So would you say like I mean, you mentioned those like consumer recreation and stuff like that. Does it seem like discretionary spending will come down because of costs in that sense?
If there's a hyperinflation.
Okay.
So, but then again, there are also some winners like your coal, mines, oil, commodities.
These are things that you need. It's not discretionary, right?
Yeah, it's not discretionary.
Okay.
Right. So, but again, the problem with this type of some people nowadays they're actually shifting their money into invest in commodity because of the higher inflation, right? But the problem with this strategy, the way I look at it is, you are timing whether the inflation will continue to go up. Right, and you don't know how long that will last. Okay, and if you didn't exit the right cycle, when the cycle start to come back down again, you may get caught buying at somewhere at the high and then selling somewhere at the low. Right, so that strategy I think is a lot harder to implement because you need to know whether inflation will stop or continue to go up. If you continue to go up, of course, commodity prices, those commodity investment will do well.
But it's not so straightforward as in just jumping into commodity, because if you're not experienced in that sector, I mean, commodities is so many different types of commodities: oil, coal, steel. Every industry has its own supply and demand, and it's so many things to go and learn.
There's a lot of moving parts.
So many things. And if you're not part of that industry, if you're not familiar with it, and you just jump into that just because of inflation, that's a bit risky, right? Because it's not within your circle of competence. So would you, I mean, if I were an investor, I would still stick to the sectors that I know.
Yes.
But lean toward the companies that I think are going to be able to pass down these costs to the consumers.
Those new generation type of business model, your subscription companies, right? I mean, we subscribe to Dropbox, and I think once in a while they will say that because of cost, prices going up, I'm going to raise the price, and they say that okay, by this month I'm going to increase to this amount.
Yeah.
But what can I do? I cannot do anything.
Yeah, I mean we can switch, but then it takes a lot.
Yeah,
of
There's,
so-
there's some
yeah.
switching costs involved.
And of
Yes.
course, like you mentioned recently, Adobe also sent an email and said that they're going to increase the price, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, AWS also going to increase the Amazon Prime subscription in the US. So I mean, for most people in the US, they've just absorbed it, right?
Mhm.
So so this is the companies where you want to stay invested with them because they are able to price. They have so much pricing power.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So I think we've done a roundtable before on pricing power. You can go check
Yes,
our library on YouTube about companies that have pricing power, and I think these companies should be able to do well in a high inflation period.
Yeah.
Because of the fact that they can pass down the prices, luxury brands as well.
Luxury brands as well. Yeah. So these are the brands that they target the rich, where they're not price sensitive in that sense, right? So if you raise the prices of Birkin bags from $110,000 to $150,000, people will still buy.
Mhm.
The rich will still buy.
Maybe they like it even more.
They like it
It's
even more because it's
expensive.
more.
I can buy
Yeah.
this.
It's just an extra 50 cent. Yeah.
And it's a limited edition.
It's,
Right?
it's even more expensive.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think we want to look at companies that just a part of your life that you just can't live without.
Yeah.
And they would be able to like pass on those costs.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm.
So Adobe is one of them. You mentioned Dropbox.
Yep.
Amazon Prime.
And company with asset-like business.
Asset
model.
like businesses.
Yeah, because they
that's
don't
true.
need to spend so much money to replace their fixed asset, right?
Mhm.
So typically your tech mostly fall under that category.
But not all tech.
Not
Right.
all tech, yeah.
Yeah.
So soft tech,
Soft tech.
yeah.
okay.
Hard tech, they may still need to spend more money to build a new plant. All right, so that's something where you need to take note of.
All right. I want to bring up, let's say, what about Costco? I think Costco is known for,
The
keeping
membership.
prices low
Yeah.
and all that. So in the terms of a higher inflation, they can pass down the cost, but they're known for not doing that.
Yeah,
They're
yeah.
trying to keep prices low for their customers. So what about a business like that?
I think businesses like Costco, they do it on purpose because that is their mode, right? So typically when people go to Costco, they buy things on bulk, right? And they're at a very cheap price, right? So that has been the main draw. Even they have petrol where people would like go there to the pump. It's so much cheaper as compared to out there, right? So the whole idea is to get people to go to sign up for their membership, right? So that is their main bulk of their bottom line. So as long as they can continue to maintain that bottom line, the subscription itself, they should be able to keep the margin, right? So at the end of the day, how much longer they can hold, they eventually have to pass on the cost, right? So if the industry wide is experiencing the cost surge, Costco definitely will still be lower as compared to competitor because that's been their mode.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think businesses like them, yes, they may not benefit that much from the rising costs, but that has been their mode. all the
But
while.
they'll make the customer more sticky.
Yeah.
And you look at the prices of share price of Costco has been going up.
Yeah. And they have that subscription business. I mean, the membership that
Yes.
keeps the revenue and profit pretty stable.
And
as
usually
well.
they increase the membership. They
Yeah.
don't cut on the food margins and all that.
Yeah.
Yes,
So I think it always pays once again to have a look at the business model of a company and not just like, oh, it's a discount retailer. Inflation is going to hurt them. But for Costco, they have that subscription model that's actually very successful for them.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we always go back to the fundamentals of the company and how the business model actually works and how inflation is going to affect different moving parts of their business model.
Yep.
Yeah. So like you said, fixed assets, capital intensive businesses will be more affected.
Yeah.
All right. So I think this is a pretty good discussion on inflation. All right. Yep. So I think if you've been wondering about inflation, and it's something that affects all of us, but as investors, we can actually do well in terms of inflation as well. All right. So once again, my name is Adam. That's Rusmin.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's
Thank you.
Victor. Thank you so much for joining us. If you have any questions about inflation and investing, you can always put them in the comments section. And of course, if you like this roundtable, please hit the like button. Tell us we're doing a great job. Of course, subscribe to our channel. Many more roundtables coming up again. So I hope you really enjoyed this session, and we'll see you around again.